Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we have an amazing true story about a president, a poison plot, and two enemies who had to work together. Our story starts one evening in Ouagadougou, the capital city of Burkina Faso, a country in West Africa. Inside the Grand Presidential Palace, the country's young leader, President Ibrahim Traoré, was finally sitting down for dinner after a very busy day. He was with a few of his close advisors, talking about important projects for the country, like bringing clean water to villages. President Traoré picked up his fork and took a bite of his favorite meal, rice and tasty fried chicken. He started to talk about their goals, saying, "To reach our goal, we need to," but he couldn't finish his sentence. Suddenly, he felt a strange, burning feeling in his throat. Then, a heavy feeling pressed down on his chest. Things started to feel warm and weird all over his body. His eyes got blurry, and his ears started ringing. "Mr. President, are you okay?" asked one of his ministers, worried. President Traoré couldn't speak. He tried to grab his water glass, but his hand was shaking so much, he knocked it over. Something was very, very wrong. "He's been poisoned!" someone shouted. "Get a doctor quickly!" The calm dinner turned into chaos. Guards rushed in. Ministers jumped up. Everyone was scared. President Traoré tried hard to stay awake, but everything was fading. "Lock down the palace," ordered the security chief. "Nobody in, nobody out. Someone tried to hurt the president." Doctors arrived fast. Dr. Zongo checked the president quickly. "It's poison," he said nervously. "A strong chemical. We need to get him to the hospital right now." As President Traoré lost consciousness, the last thing he heard was the doctor saying, "The poison is working fast. We don't have much time." President Traoré was rushed to a special part of the military hospital. Soldiers guarded the hallways. Inside a private room, the young president was fighting for his life, hooked up to machines that beeped and watched his heart. News spread like wildfire. People gathered outside the hospital, worried and praying for their leader. On social media, messages of support poured in from all over the world. Everyone wondered, who did this? Was it enemies from other countries? Or someone secret, working right inside the palace? Burkina Faso held its breath, waiting. In the hospital corridor, the Prime Minister, the Interior Minister, and the security chief gathered anxiously. "How is he?" the Prime Minister asked Dr. Zongo.
"He's very sick, but stable for now," the doctor replied, showing them some papers. "The poison is very complex, very cleverly made.
We're still trying to figure out exactly what it is." "This was planned," the security chief whispered. "It had to be someone inside the palace. Who cooked the food? Who served it? Who was at the table?" "We must investigate everyone," said the Interior Minister. "From the cooks to the advisors, the guards, the cleaners, anyone could be involved." "We need to be careful," the Prime Minister warned. "Panic won't help. The president's life and keeping the country calm are most important right now." They needed someone smart and tough to lead the investigation, but who could they trust? Everyone inside the palace was now a suspect. At that very moment, in a quiet house on the edge of the city, an older man named Maurice Sankara was listening to the news about the president being poisoned. Mr. Sankara used to be the head of intelligence, the country's top spy catcher, but President Traoré had fired him 3 years earlier. Traoré had believed Sankara was working against him, maybe even helping other countries. Sankara had been under house arrest and was still watched closely. He and President Traoré were definitely not friends. Sankara felt wronged and angry. Suddenly, Sankara's phone rang. It was an old friend who still worked in intelligence. "Maurice," the friend said, "they're going to call you. From the palace." "Who?" Sankara asked, confused. "They need you to investigate the poisoning." Sankara scoffed. "That's crazy. President Traoré dislikes me. He thinks I'm a traitor." "Maybe," his friend replied. "But right now, they don't know who to trust inside. They need someone they know isn't part of the current palace secrets. They need you, Maurice. Because everyone knows you wouldn't secretly poison him. If you wanted him gone, you'd do it differently." The friend was right. The next morning, official cars pulled up to Sankara's house. A young officer politely asked him to come with them. Sankara knew this was coming. At the hospital, the Prime Minister and the other top officials met him. They looked worried, suspicious, and a little awkward. "Mr. Sankara," the Prime Minister said, holding out his hand. Thank you for coming. Sankara didn't shake his hand. Did I have a choice? You accused me of terrible things, and now you need my help? The country needs your help, the Interior Minister said urgently. The president is fighting for his life. Someone tried to kill him. Someone from the inside. And why ask me? Sankara asked, his voice cold. The man who ruined my career? Exactly, said the Prime Minister. Because you have no reason to cover up for anyone currently in power. If you find the real culprit, everyone will know it's the truth. You have our full support. You can investigate anything and anyone. Sankara thought for a moment. This was strange. Helping the man who hurt him? But this attack wasn't just against Traoré. It was against Burkina Faso. His country. Okay, he said finally. Tell me everything that happened. They explained about the dinner. The poison symptoms. The poison is tricky, Sankara noted. Can I see the president? The ministers were surprised, but agreed. Sankara went into the room where President Traoré lay pale and weak, connected to machines. The powerful leader looked helpless. Sankara asked the doctors to give him a few minutes alone. He stood by the bed, looking at the man who had been his enemy. Mr. President, Sankara said quietly, even though Traoré seemed unconscious. I never liked you. When you fired me, I was angry. But not like this. Poisoning someone secretly? That's cowardly. He looked at the medical charts. I will find out who did this, Sankara murmured. Not just for you, but for our country, and for my own honor. Just then, President Traoré's eyes flickered open. He struggled to focus, but he recognized Sankara. You, he whispered weakly. It was... you? No, Sankara said quickly and clearly. I didn't poison you. I'm here to find out who did. Why? Traoré breathed. Because whoever hurt you is hurting Burkina Faso, Sankara replied. And I don't betray my country. Traoré's eyes closed again. A small seed of trust, maybe, had been planted between the two men. Sankara immediately started his investigation. He set up a small office in the palace. First, he told his trusted team, let's understand how the food gets to the president. He questioned the nervous head chef, Chef Bamana. The chef explained everything. The food came from a special palace farm. It was checked carefully and prepared by him. I've served 3 presidents, the chef said, trembling slightly. I made the president's favorite meal, just like always. Who served the food to the president's table last night? Sankara asked. Soleimane, the chef replied. A waiter who's worked here for 8 years, very trusted. Sankara made a note. Find waiter Soleimane right now. But Soleimane was gone. He hadn't come home last night. His house was empty, his phone off. He did it and ran, one official said. Too simple, Sankara countered. He was likely just the delivery person. Maybe he's been silenced. We need the person who planned this. They searched Soleimane's house and found a hidden envelope stuffed with foreign money, 10,000 euros, a lot of cash. But who gave it to him? Sankara asked for the palace security camera recordings from the past week. He and his team watched hours of footage. Suddenly, Sankara pointed. Stop! Right there! Last Tuesday afternoon. Soleimane is talking to someone in the back garden. They zoomed in. The person talking to the waiter was Hamidou Savado, one of the president's advisors on foreign relations. And in the video, Savado was handing Soleimane a small envelope, just like the one found with the money. That's him, the one who paid the waiter, an investigator exclaimed. Maybe, Sankara said carefully. But is he the main planner? Bring Savado here. Savado was brought in. He tried to look calm. Mr. Savado, Sankara began, what were you giving waiter Soleimane in the garden last Tuesday? Oh, Savado said, pretending to remember. A small gift. His mother was sick. Just helping out. 10,000 euros is a very generous gift, Sankara said calmly. Savado started to look uneasy. It's strange timing, don't you think? The waiter gets money, the president gets poisoned, the waiter disappears. Sankara then showed Savado proof that he had recently taken a large amount of money out of a secret foreign bank account and had booked a flight to Paris. He was planning to run. Savado panicked. Okay, I was just the middleman, I swear. Who's middleman? Sankara pressed. I can't say. They'll hurt me. Savado stammered, sweating. Mr. Savato, Sankara said sternly, if President Traoré dies, there will be chaos. You'll be the main suspect. Think about that. Now tell me, who hired you? Savato finally broke. An official. From the French government. His name is Pierre Dumont. He paid me to influence President Traoré, to stop him from working with countries like Russia and China. And did he ask you to poison the president? Sankara asked. Savato nodded, looking terrified. Yes, but not to kill him. Just make him sick for a while. The poison wasn't supposed to be deadly. While he was sick, the Prime Minister was supposed to take over and sign deals. Deals to give French companies back control of our gold mines and renew military agreements. And the waiter, Soleimane? Where is he? Sankara demanded. I don't know, Savato cried. I gave him the poison mixture. He was supposed to put it in the food and then escape. They paid him too. Sankara now had the truth. He quickly told the Prime Minister and the other leaders. It was the French government, or at least someone powerful within it, trying to control Burkina Faso behind the scenes because they didn't like President Traoré's independent policies. Savato was arrested, but the main culprit, Dumont, was in France. And the poor waiter, Soleimane? Sankara sadly suspected he'd been killed to keep him quiet. What do we do now? Asked the Prime Minister. Sankara had an idea. A risky one. We need to wait for the president to get stronger, he said. And then, I have a plan to trap Dumont. He explained his daring plan to President Traoré, who was slowly getting better in the hospital. We'll pretend your condition is getting worse, Sankara proposed. We might even leak fake news that you haven't survived. This will make Dumont feel safe. He'll think his plan worked. Savato will message him saying the Prime Minister is ready to sign the deals. Dumont will have to come here secretly to finalize things. And when he does, President Traoré looked at Sankara, his eyes showing new strength. Do it, he said firmly. Let's catch them. Let's show them Burkina Faso won't be controlled. The plan started. Official news reports said President Traoré was critically ill. Then, a shocking announcement was made to the world. President Ibrahim Traoré had died. People in Burkina Faso were heartbroken. Thousands gathered in the streets, sad and angry. Just as Sankara predicted, Pierre Dumont secretly flew into Ouagadougou, pretending to be a low-level diplomat coming to offer condolences. He arranged a private meeting with the Prime Minister to finalize the secret deals he thought were now possible. Dumont walked into the meeting room. Prime Minister Dio was there, along with Maurice Sankara. Mr. Prime Minister, Dumont said, putting on a fake sad face, France sends its deepest sympathies. Thank you, Mr. Dumont, the Prime Minister replied calmly. Please sit. We have things to discuss. Mr. Sankara here is my security advisor. Dumont looked suspiciously at Sankara. Mr. Dumont, Sankara said, holding up a file. You're not just a diplomat, are you? You work for French intelligence. Dumont paled. That's ridiculous. We recorded your phone call with Savato last night, Sankara continued, pressing a button. Dumont's own voice filled the room, talking about Traoré being dead and coming to get the agreement signed. Dumont jumped up. This is fake. I have diplomatic immunity. You're not a real diplomat here, Sankara stated coldly. You're a spy involved in a plot against our president. Just then, the side door opened, and in walked President Ibrahim Traoré. He looked pale and walked a bit unsteadily, but he was very much alive. Dumont stared, his mouth wide open in shock. Impossible! I'm stronger than you thought, Mr. Dumont, President Traoré said, his voice clear. And so is Burkina Faso. Dumont was arrested right there. The whole plot was revealed to the world press. The French government tried to say Dumont acted alone, but the damage was done. President Traoré spoke to his people, explaining what happened. He called it an attack on their country's freedom. This showed us, he said, that being independent isn't easy. But it also showed us that when we find the betrayers among us and work with true friends, no one can defeat us. Then, President Traoré made a surprise announcement. He appointed Maurice Sankara, the man he once fired, as his new national security advisor, one of the most important jobs in the country. Later, Sankara asked Traoré, "Why? Why trust me now?" President Traoré smiled slightly. "Because you didn't betray the country, even when you had reason to dislike me. Your love for Burkina Faso was stronger." Months later, Burkina Faso was standing taller. President Traoré, with Sankara by his side, was leading the country forward, making its own choices. The two men, once enemies, were now partners. Sometimes, the worst situations can bring people together in surprising ways. The poison plot that was meant to tear Burkina Faso apart actually ended up making it stronger, led by a president and his former enemy, now united for their country's future. What a story! It really shows how complex things can be and how working together, even with unexpected people, can lead to amazing things. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories. See you next time.